My husband and I made a pact after our last big fight. We would have a one-time, no questions asked hall pass to reset our marriage. It was a stupid, desperate idea born at 2 a.m. after screaming had dissolved into exhausted silence. The kind of idea that feels profound when you're hollowed out. We'd been circling each other like ghosts for a year. Polite, distant. The love wasn't gone, but the joy was. The wanting was. Julian, my husband, proposed it. His voice was flat, defeated. Maybe we need to remember we're desirable to other people. To shock the system? One time. Clean. No questions after. I agreed. Not because I wanted to. 'Cause I was tired of the Cold War. I thought, he'll use his. He'll get it out of his system. And I'll be the magnanimous wife who didn't need to. The one who held the moral high ground while he got his midlife crisis out of his system. It will humble him. It will make him grateful for me. 2 weeks later, he came home smelling of strange perfume and a guilt so potent it was almost sweet. He didn't say a word. Just kissed my forehead, a benediction, and went to shower. The pact was invoked. I was secretly relieved. My part was over. I had survived his transgression. Oh, we could move on. The debt paid, the tension broken. I folded the ugly secret into the linens of our life and tried to forget its shape. A month passed. The Cold War thawed, slightly. We were careful, kinder. I convinced myself the shock therapy was working. Then, on a Tuesday, I was hunting for a missing earring in Julian's office drawer. I moved a stack of pristine printer paper, and I found it. My hall pass. It was a thick, cream-colored card, tucked in a matching envelope. Embossed lettering. It looked like a wedding invitation to a tragedy. A gift for your well-being, it read. One premium session with Dr. Evelyn Reed, PhD, licensed marriage and family therapist, a journey back to connection. Chloe, in Julian's precise architect's handwriting, for Maya, because I want us to work. Booked for Thursday, 3 p.m. J. The room tilted. Dr. Evelyn Reed, our therapist. The woman we'd seen for 6 months, who nodded with infinite understanding, whose office smelled of lavender and patience. The woman who'd listened to me cry about our dead bedroom, who'd gently challenged Julian on his emotional unavailability. My hall pass was a session with the woman who knew every vulnerable secret inch of our marital decay. And he'd already booked it. My heart didn't break. It iced over. This wasn't a gift. This was a surgical strike. He hadn't given me permission to be desired. He'd given me a prescription to be fixed. His infidelity was an adventure. Mine was to be a clinical intervention. I went to the session. Of course I did. I needed to see her face. Her office was the same. The lavender. the box of tissues positioned precisely between the two client chairs. She smiled her professional, warm smile. "Maya, Julian said you'd be coming alone today. He felt you needed a space for your own packing." My voice was stranger's. "Did he tell you why?" "About the gift." Her smile didn't falter. It was a mask of impeccable therapy. He framed it as a gesture of commitment. A desire for you to have dedicated support. Support for what? For the feelings of insecurity he worries linger after his use of your mutual agreement. He's concerned you're internalizing it as a reflection of your worth. The audacity was breathtaking. He'd framed his hall pass as my pathology. He'd pre-briefed our therapist, shaping the narrative before I could speak. I played along. I unspooled generic fears. I watched her. Did she know? Was she a co-conspirator, or just the perfectly manipulated tool of a brilliant, narcissistic man? Her compassion felt, for the time, like a weapon he'd handed her. At the end, she placed a gentle hand on my arm. "You are worthy of a passionate connection, Maya. Never forget that." Walking to my car, the phrase echoed. A passionate connection. Was it a therapeutic platitude? Or was it a hint? A flicker of recognition from a woman who'd heard my husband's clinical, dispassionate version of our intimacy. I didn't confront Julian. I became an investigator. I dove into credit card statements. The charge for Dr. Reed's session was there, dated the day after his hall pass night. As if he'd booked my cure on his walk of shame. But another charge caught my eye. A luxury hotel bar, weeks before our big fight, before the pact. A bar I knew was next to the building housing Dr. Reed's private practice. Cold in my veins turned to a freezing, clarifying rage. The pact wasn't a desperate idea. It was a setup. He'd wanted permission. He'd wanted to sanitize an affair that had already begun. And who better than the woman who was professionally obligated to keep our secrets? The ultimate no-questions-asked partner. My hall pass wasn't a therapeutic gift. It was a distraction, a way to keep me busy, thinking I was the problem, while he continued. I had my own hall pass, untouched, unused, a nuclear option, sitting in my pocket. I didn't want a random man. I wanted justice. I wanted to turn his own cruel genius game against him. The plan formed, cold and perfect. I would use my pass, and I would use it in a way he could never ever dismiss as my insecurity. I called Dr. Reed's office. Not for a session. I asked for her administrative assistant, Ben. I'd met him once. A shy, kind-eyed man in his late 20s who'd helped me reschedule. I'd seen the way he looked at me not clinically, but humanly. I asked him for coffee to talk about the challenges of supporting people in crisis. He was surprised, but flattered. Over coffee, I didn't talk about therapy. I talked about feeling invisible. I talked about my husband's architectural designs, all cold glass and sharp angles, with no warmth. Ben listened, rapt. He was an artist, a photographer. He spoke about light and shadow. He saw the sadness in me and called it beauty. It was easy. He was lonely. I was a masterpiece of curated vulnerability. I invited him to a hotel. I used my hall pass. It wasn't passion. It was a performance, a transaction. Every touch was a sentence I was writing for Julian to read later. After, I asked Ben for a favor. A piece of art, I said. Something only you could create. I gave him a keylogger USB drive. My husband's an architect. His designs are breathtaking. I want to surprise him with a book of his process, his private thoughts. It's a gift, but it has to be a secret. His face clouded with conflict. This was the line. I reached out, touched his cheek, let a single, perfect tear fall. Please, help me save my marriage. He took the drive. The information that flowed back wasn't about architecture. It was emails, calendar invites, cryptic, but damning. Usual place, 7 p.m. J. Hotel confirmations. Draft email to Dr. Reed that was never sent. Last night was necessary. But Maya is growing suspicious. We may need to pause or rethink our strategy. Our strategy. They were a team, and I was their project. This is where the games we play to save ourselves become the traps that devour us. Where a single card, embossed with hope, can be the map to a premeditated hell. Welcome to Light After Dark. We navigate the labyrinth of calculated hearts and poisoned compromises. Here, we dissect not crimes of passion, but passions twisted into crime. Where therapy becomes the affair, and the hall pass becomes the weapon. If you are drawn to stories where the mind is the most dangerous bedroom, and trust is the first casualty, subscribe, tap the bell. The most shocking truths are often hidden in the most elegant lies. I confronted him not with tears, but with evidence. I laid the printouts on his drafting table, next to the blueprints for our dream home that would never be built. Our strategy. I asked, my voice eerily calm. He didn't deny it. The architect faced his failed design. He confessed. The emotional affair with Dr. Reed had started months ago. The pact was her idea way to liberate him, to give him cover, and to pathologize my inevitable pain. My hall pass to her was the final masterstroke, keeping me close, under her observation, and framing all my pain as a symptom I needed her to cure. He cried. He said he was sick. That she'd manipulated him, that he loved me. All I felt was the profound silence of a game board after the final checkmate move. I didn't scream. I packed a bag. I left the gift certificate on his desk. I used my hall pass. It wasn't for passion. It was for power. It was for evidence. It was the key that unlocked the prison he and his lover therapist had built for me. Now, the silence isn't cold. It's empty. And in that emptiness, I'm finally free. Not from marriage, but from the terrifying, elegant fiction of it he was building. My hall pass wasn't a reset. It was an escape hatch. And I took it.